World War II never really ended in my family. My father was in the Army Air Corps. Days that he considers the best days of his life. He was stationed in England in 1943, when the casualty rate on his base was 80%. I was named after his two best buddies on his crew, George Balmore from the Bronx and James Counts from Mississippi. So I'm a combo of Mississippi and the Bronx. So of course, given that background, we never missed the Georgetown Air Show. We went every year. I mean, it was always at the end of May. It was always about 98 degrees, about 90% humidity, screaming kids, blaring sound system, dust, noise. I mean, within 20 minutes, I was cranky and tired and wanted to go home. But my father, oh, he was in heaven. He just loved it. So we went. And then he fell for the first time. And he was on a walker. And I thought, well, this year, surely, he's not going to want to go. I mean, it's that long walk from all the way from the parking lot all the way across to where they keep the B-17. It's going to be way too much for him. I mean, he couldn't possibly make it. I was secretly pleased. And then one night, we were going from the dining hall to his room, and we passed the bulletin board there in the retirement home, and it had a big sign. It said, Air Show next week. Well, I knew Eagle Eye Comer had not missed that one. So, I said, or I shouted, Dad, do you want to go to the air show? And he looked at me as only a parent can do. And he said, oh, Jim, I don't know, only if you do. It turns out I was dying to go. Literally. We made a date for the following Saturday at 2 o'clock. And I showed up. Showed up at that retirement home, drove up, and I walked in the lobby, and the receptionist told me he had been pacing on his walker for over an hour. She said he's been talking about nothing else all week. He is so excited about going. I tried to remind myself never to take his words literally again. Well, I got him and his walker into the car, got the folding chair in the back seat, got the extra water bottles there, and we drove off to the Georgetown airport. I had a special private parking spot all picked out. We got there, we got everything out. We slowly made our way up to the ticket booth. And when I told them there was a World War II veteran there, they practically clicked their heels together. They were so impressed. They called for the golf cart to take us out. And I got Dad into the back seat with all of his stuff, and then I sat in the front seat by this nice young soldier from Fort Hood. And we started off, and just as we started, there was this enormous thunderbolt. And I looked up, and the sky had turned black. I was so busy with the logistics of getting him there, I hadn't even looked at the weather. And I said to the young man, I said, we got to get to the B-17 quick. My father flew 76 combat missions. He has got to see that B-17. Hurry! And that young man looked at me, and he said, 76 missions? Didn't they send them back home after 25? And I said, yeah, they did. But my father signed up to go back. Mother almost divorced him. He said, 76 missions. Wow. And he looked at my father. He turned around. I'll never forget it. He turned around as he was driving. He said, sir, You are my hero. And my father went, which means I have no idea what you just said. But I know you meant well. And I said to that young man, I said, if you want my daddy to hear you, he's really deaf, you're going to have to yell. So he found in the depths of his diaphragm, and he said, "Sir, you are my hero!" And everyone in the entire airport heard, including my father. Well, another thunderbolt hit, and I could feel the first drops of rain come down just as we glided under the wings of the B-17. The sky opened up. It was a downpour of biblical proportions. All 10,000 air show attendees got soaked to the bone, but not us. We were sheltered by the wings of the B-17, just as my father had been sheltered 60 years earlier. I got his folding chair out, opened it up, got him into it as if it was a throne. I remember looking at him for a moment, and for just a moment, I could see the 33-year-old who was in World War II. Lean, tanned, bright blue eyes, his whole future ahead of him. And then the crew heard about this veteran in their midst, and they came down, and they lined up to shake my daddy's hand. One of them asked for an autograph. Well, when the rain stopped, took the chair, and we made our way through the wet grass and seated ourselves on the side, surrounded by the plains of his departed youth. It was one of the greatest moments I've ever had with my dad. And we didn't have to say a word. Perfect moments don't require words. And I only got it because I showed up. So, what I want to say to you is, talk to your parents, show up for your parents, and I guarantee when you do that, you will show up for yourselves. Thank you. Thank you.